San Antonio, Texas doesn't always get loved by the national media, as they have few sports teams and not a lot of large companies. But this area has two of Texas's premier theme parks, in Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and SeaWorld San Antonio, and has claimed the title of the most roller coasters in the Lone Star State for most of the past 2 decades. Though, with Daddy Pig's roller coaster opening in the Dallas area, that should put the Metroplex tied with San Antonio at 20 coasters, with Yesterland Farm padding Dallas's stats and SeaWorld San Antonio refusing to add extra coasters just to make it the SeaWorld park with the most coasters, like it historically had been until Icebreaker opened in SeaWorld Orlando. Having lived in San Antonio, this city has a piece of my heart, and I want to share my thoughts on their roller coasters. This is Roller Coasters of San Antonio. As I've only recently been riding coasters in San Antonio, I cannot speak of the Defunct coasters, as I wasn't able to get to Kiddie Park of San Antonio or even the San Antonio Aquarium to ride their coaster. But there is a nice history of coasters in this city, especially with Fiesta Texas's Rattler being one of my all-time favorite coasters. I will count very recently defunct coasters, as these are kiddie or family coasters that have been able to ride and adequately rank with the other coasters in the area. I also have full reviews for all of these coasters if you're interested in learning more. Number 20. Crazy 8. San Antonio's Incredible Pizza. Incredible Pizza has a special place in my heart, but the pay-per-ride model I experienced back in 2021 was just so different from Six Flags and SeaWorld that it really threw me on my visit. This coaster also offers very little in terms of forces, as the spinning and drops do so little for me. So I kinda wish I was on like an actual kiddie coaster instead of this. Crazy 8 looks cool though, but these FBF Visa spinners just don't do it for me. Number 19. Boomerang, Fiesta, Texas. My self-proclaimed nemesis, and strangely not the lowest coaster on this list. The first drop is enjoyable, but everything else will beat me up a lot, especially the backwards loop that can make my head hurt for hours and hours and hours. The new vest restraints help make it a smoother and more enjoyable coaster, but I have to be very careful about the intensity on this one. Number 18. Chupacabra, formerly Goliath, Fiesta, Texas. I'm not a big fan of the Batman the Ride clones, and that's with San Antonio having 2 of these coasters. They have jockeyed back and forth in my rankings, as the visuals and smoothness of Chupacabra had it ahead of Great White for a while, but Chupacabra just feels like a very basic version of this type of ride. I can enjoy the 2 vertical loops, but the snappy inversions and strong positive G's really mess with my head, and I just simply prefer other types of coasters. Number 17. Great White, SeaWorld San Antonio. The shark theming and grass seems to just do a bit more for me nowadays, and this ride feels a bit less forceful, so it messes with me less than Chupacabra. As SeaWorld's first ever coaster, Great White also just has a nice bit of history attached to it. Number 16. Batgirl Coaster Chase, Fiesta, Texas. This coaster got a nice new name and theme, and the interactions with the penguin below it are great, but it still rides about the same, which is a little bit bumpy, with the possibility of getting decent laterals on the turning drop. I might like this coaster for nostalgic reasons, but I've come off it loving its drop compared to all the other coasters at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. So it can do a bit more than it looks like it can. Defunct, Grover's Boxcar Derby, SeaWorld San Antonio. After thinking they needed to add a second kiddie coaster over spring break, SeaWorld decided to add a family coaster, but also to remove their smaller kiddie coaster as they remodeled the Sesame Street Bay of Play into Rescue Junior. This does sadden me as Sesame Street characters are just cool, especially for the young ones, and us adults who miss being kids. But also because this was a unique and enjoyable kiddie coaster that even opened with Orca trains. The main part of this coaster was its drop, which had a wicked turn right afterwards into a bunny hill. This sequence would throw you around and was a nice quirk for a kiddie coaster that I'd love to see done on a larger scale. Defunct, Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster, Fiesta Texas. This coaster struggled to be reliably open, and it was only open on one of my 4 trips to Fiesta Texas since it was built. The coaster offered an interesting vibration with a few dips and turns that were fun and kept up the pacing with a constant barrage of elements. I preferred the DC side, as that side offered a bit more airtime and hills, but both sides offered a nice racing element as well as a fun family experience that Fiesta Texas needed. Number 15. Wavebreaker the Rescue Coaster, SeaWorld San Antonio. At times, I've liked this coaster more than this ranking, but more recently, it has felt well below average for a family coaster. The front row is nice for the view, but I feel the forces are a bit better in the middle of the train, as you can feel the hills a bit more there. This is a great family coaster that offers stunning views and a bit of thrills, but it just doesn't do anything special for me as a coaster rider. Number 14. Cliff Carver, Camp Fimfo. The course layout for this alpine coaster is incredible, as it twists and turns through the woods, and then has strong turns to try and give riders some laterals. The issue from this coaster comes from auto braking, which kills most of these forces on the various 3 legs of this coaster. Since this is a common issue on mountain coasters, it is enjoyable for what it is, but I just wish it could be a bit better. Number 13. Journey to Atlantis, SeaWorld San Antonio. This simple water coaster offers a unique twist with its backwards drop. After many re-rides, that backwards drop does not hit as well as it used to. But it has been a very strong drop for me in the past. The main drop is also enjoyable with a refreshing splash. This ride may be simple and lacking in theming, but it does a fine job as a roller coaster. Number 12. Roadrunner Express, Fiesta Texas. As my benchmark for a solid family coaster, this mine train has a great setting and some forceful elements. Since airtime over its small bunny hills is rare, the main force on this coaster is going to be the positive G's in the valleys, of those various curved drops. These positive G's can really mess with my head if I'm already getting dizzy, but should be enough for families or those scared of larger rides to just enjoy the sheer power of this coaster without being overwhelming. Number 11. Batman the Ride, Fiesta Texas. This is a gimmicky prototype coaster with only mild Batman theming. But the views from the coaster itself are great, as you can look at the whole park from there. The free flipping is a nice mixture of scary and disorienting feelings, while offering a different experience than what you'll find on most coasters. The ride itself is fairly short, and these aren't my favorite forces on a coaster, but I can appreciate it for the gimmick that it is. Number 10. Beach Rescue Racer, SeaWorld San Antonio. This new for 2025 coaster offers a forceful experience with a drop that feels like it lasts forever. Strong helixes that you can take with what seems like more speed than you have any business having, and a final bunny hill that is okay, but elongated to avoid a truly special moment. Still, this is a forceful and strong family coaster that may not be the perfect fit for a Rescue Junior, but it is a solid roller coaster for those seeking forces and fun. Number 9. Poltergeist, Fiesta, Texas. Once my all-time favorite coaster, this is now my standard for a solid mid-sized coaster. With 3 large inversions to start, the real treat of this coaster is going through the various twists and turns as you gain speed before a final smooth corkscrew. Since the enhanced theming in 2021, the ride has been running faster, which normally has been giving me airtime on a small bunny hill towards the top of the spaghetti bowl, which is a beautiful plus to this coaster. Number 8. Texas Stingray, SeaWorld San Antonio. I'm not a big fan of GCI or Great Coasters International because of how restrictive the restraints are, and Texas Stingray exemplifies this, as you need to have a loose restraint in order to be able to enjoy this layout. The first drop isn't too great, and the main gimmick of this coaster is the side-to-side shuffling airtime that you will get as you change directions, similar in style to a stingray flapping its wings in the water. With how this unique airtime is kept up throughout the whole ride, many celebrate its strong pacing, but for me, there's just better coasters that I'm looking for that give more traditional airtime or laterals, though it has grown on me in recent years. Number 7. Pandemonium, Fiesta, Texas. I have gone in many strong rides on this coaster that have spun really well, and even offered nice airtime over the various dips and hills by allowing me to take these elements sideways or backwards. Being located in my favorite section of Fiesta, Texas also really helps, as well as its history of replacing Joker's Revenge. There's a lot to love about this ride, and its best runs can compete with much larger coasters. Number 6. Superman Krypton Coaster, Fiesta, Texas. This coaster does feel a bit subpar, and I'm not a huge fan of the inversions or a lot of the elements, especially more towards the back. The final 2 corkscrews can really mess with me, but in the front row, this coaster is incredible, offering nice views on the first drop, nice hang time on the record-setting loop, and strong wind and visuals that make this a really enjoyable experience. Number 5. Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger Dive, Fiesta, Texas. After my first few rides, I found this coaster rough, without much airtime or thrills, and my published review for this coaster reflects that. But more recently, I've learned to ride in the back middle seat specifically. The back help gives a bit more to the drops on this coaster, which can be really good and gives me a solid stomach dropping sensation that I don't find on most coasters nowadays. The middle seat helps reduce the bumpy ride, as the outside seats are the roughest, and the middle is pretty smooth. The middle seat in the back is also built for larger guests, so the restraint is a bit more forgiving, giving just that extra bit of airtime. The first drop is one of my favorite drops anywhere, now that I've learned to ride in the right seat, and even the drop off the brake run delivers a solid pop and drop feeling. Number 4. Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster, Fiesta, Texas. With new restraints, I'm hoping Wonder Woman is more reliable, but it still has broken down consistently on recent visits. The first drop offers a powerful feeling, but it doesn't give that extra punch like Dr. Diabolical's. The rest of the course is action-packed as it whips through inversions, hills, and turns, My largest complaint about this coaster is the short length, as it just feels like you could do more with your speed. Number 3. Switchback, ZDT's amusement park. One of my favorite coasters, Switchback executes its small elements so well. The first drop is solid for its size, the bunny hill has made me feel like I was flying out of my seat, and the mixture of turns that follow offer solid and strong forces, with the backwards overbank offering a painful moment of intensity. The vertical spike, then, offers a super unique element on a wooden go, and a bit of weightlessness on your first few rides as you get used to how the element plays. As the world's only wooden shuttle coaster, Switchback is both fun and something very special, and for a few years, I even had it ranked above the Iron Rattler at Fiesta, Texas. But the Iron Rattler has just grown on me, and Switchback can only do so much. Number 2. Steel Eel, SeaWorld San Antonio. This was my favorite coaster in San Antonio, and my number 1 overall, until the 2025 season. This is a one-trick pony, as all you get is wonderful airtime over the various hills, especially because you have just a seatbelt and hopefully a loose buzzbar. The first drop is decent, but with its profiling, it isn't meant to be great, though the third drop, being longer than the second, can sneak up on you and offer a nice punch. Then the finale of Bunny Hills offers solid airtime and is just something special. At first, I could enjoy this coaster in any seat, but as the back jerks you up and down quickly, this coaster has become a front row ride for me. The second through fourth rows are similar in forces, so it is normally much easier to ride in these rows versus waiting for the very front. Though the front does offer slightly superior forces as you get truly wonderful floater airtime throughout the entire ride. In late 2024, the coaster was refurbished with new seatbelts that are just not as loose as the previous ones. This has made the airtime significantly dialed back for me, taking it from elite coaster status to just very good coaster status. It pains me that this is not my number 1 anymore, but it sadly just isn't. Number 1. Iron Rattler, Fiesta, Texas. My memory of the original Rattler reigns supreme as its mixture of size, length, and roughness combined to create a truly special coaster experience, at least for me. So I judge Iron Rattler against being the best coaster in the world, and in that, it falls short, even if it has backed into being my number 1 overall coaster. But this coaster has grown on me in recent years, as I've started riding it more in the 7th row, which seems to maximize the first drop as well as the overall experience. The pre-lift is fun and forceful, and the lift hill is beautiful, and probably my favorite lift hill in the world. The first drop finally hits for me, so it is good, though I'm still thinking Dr. Diabolical's next door might be a little bit better. The first half, with fast, large elements, isn't exactly my cup of tea, but this section works well for strong pacing. The slow sideways airtime at the top of the canyon wall is also wonderful, with the final bunny hill being a moment I think about when ranking this coaster. The finale of a solid drop in a tunnel is a nice way to end a coaster, though this feels a bit short, especially compared to the original Rattler's layout. This coaster is always insanely smooth, as I can ride it with a mild headache and likely come off no worse than I was before, and I can't say the same about Roadrunner Express next door. Iron Rattler does a lot of things right as a coaster, but I still just want a little bit more out of it. Which coasters in San Antonio are your favorite? If you've ridden any of the Defunct ones, how would you rank those? Let me know, and as always, Kapkun Krap.